Today in this video, we're going to talk about road mapping and specifically geared towards Scrum Masters. So how do you show increase in visibility into what your team is doing, the capacity limits that might be difficult within teams of teams, especially if your team is being shared through different types of groups or projects. And so this is a specific video for Scrum Masters for road mapping. So hope you enjoy. Let's get on the road and let's get started. Welcome today to road mapping for Scrum Master team leads. So the idea here is that you've already had some discussion, maybe a big room planning event with your whole company or your groups, your teams of teams, and now you're actually on the execution portion. So you've imported it to Jira and you're working on updating this as you're going. So that's kind of the intention of this, is how as a lead or a Scrum Master do you manage this throughout as things are changing, what kind of tools you use, what kind of views you use, what kind of features within Jira. That's what we're going to learn today in this video. And so to start off, I'm going to show you a couple ways to do this. I've seen that work well with teams. The first one is just Jira project roadmaps. So this is important, and we'll go over that right now. It's the first option here. And so if you go into timeline, you can see you'll have some items here that you can take and review with the teams. So this is one portion of it, to roadmap with the teams. Functionality here, you can add issues by this checkbox. If you hover over this epic, you can add stuff here, add new story, right? So you can quickly add things if you want to. You can see here, added a story, really easy. I want to add another one, really quickly add them in here. And then you can click on it and you can add some more details in the description. So you can see how fast you can create these and how fast you can work with the team to do this. You also create epics at the bottom here. You can create epics if maybe there's bigger groups of work that you want to discuss or section up. You can create an epic here. So let's create a new epic. Right, enter, and all of a sudden you have a new epic in Jira. So really quickly to actually help the team road mapping and discussing the plan, and add more stuff or remove stuff as needed. Another option I've seen work as well is on the left-hand side of your project, the backlog. This is another view I've seen used work really well. You're getting the same information, just a different perspective. This is just more of a vertical version of what you just saw there versus a horizontal. So you can see it's going from the earliest sprint to, as the year goes on, the later sprints going down. And you can see here, this group of work is in this sprint, this group of work is in this sprint, and you're easily to do the same thing as well, is to create issues. You can create issues pretty easy here, add another issue, our story, right? You can add it here. You can also add, you can also update these as well. So you can update, you can move these around. So if you want to move these in different sprints, you can move these different sprints or iterations. You also can view who's assigned to it, right? This is another thing that you can take a look at in this view. I think it's easier than this view to look at, who's assigned to what. There's also some options too you can take a look at. Next to the names is 3 dots. You can kind of see the estimation. So as you're planning for your team, you can kind of see, well, what's the capacity and what's the workload in this sprint from the team that things are estimating. Using story points here, you can see here that how it's distributed. So this is another view of taking a slice of more of capacity planning. So usually backlog refinement discussions is kind of what you would actually use. But again, you can use it for road mapping too if it works better for you. You do what works best for your team. Not all one size fits all. So those are 2 features within Jira that you can use within your project to do road mapping as a team lead or a Scrum Master. Going back to, so that's one item here. One thing I want to keep in mind, and this is a rule of thumb, I would say, regardless of what tool you're using, is making sure you have enough backlog detailed out so you can have a planning session, or you can plan out the next 4 or 6 weeks. And so I would say at minimum you should have at least 2 weeks detailed out, best 3 weeks detailed out. And when I say weeks, this could be sprints, this could be weeks. I would say 2 to 3 sprints, I would say. So I would say actually 4 weeks here instead of 2. So I would say actually 4 weeks would probably be the best. And then 6 weeks is a better option. So remember, we're gonna say 4 weeks here. I meant to put 2 sprints. This is 4 weeks, and right here. So I meant to say 2 sprints, 4 weeks. And this right here is 3 sprints and 6 weeks. That's the best. Again, obviously a lot of teams have a hard time to actually get to there, but that's what I would plan for your teams as a best practice, so you can be successful and get ahead of those issues or risks in advance of dependencies before it become too late. What we'll do is we'll also talk about Jira plans. So this is another feature that is used, and I want to make note that if you have the premium version of Jira, this is where you're going to get this at. So if you do not have the premium version, you will not get this. No, it costs $9 to $16 per user per month, or you can have the enterprise version as well, which I think is a little bit more expensive. So keep that in mind. This is a more pricier option. That's why the first one is a free one that's included. The second one's a little bit more pricier. And this actually third option is the most expensive. So we'll talk about that briefly, but I want to go to Jira plans next as the next option here. And so let's go to advanced roadmaps. So what are these things? You can think of it like an advanced version of what we just saw right there. So you can see here's a view of this here's a view of this within Jira. You can see it kind of looks similar to what we had before. There's just more ways you can slice this up. So you can see there's teams. So if you have multiple teams, you can add them here, which you could probably use components on the other view, but this is just something that you can use for teams instead. Releases is similar. So fixed versions, using those to look at it. There's dependency reports. So there might be some other views that helps you to identify dependencies. But really it's the same type of thing. You can see this is the team, and this is the roadmap. There's dependencies. It looks very similar. There's just more items you can see here. You can see you can add extra fields within that view we just looked at that is value added to your group, so you can discuss. So this is another version. This is going to cost you a little bit more. There's some other features in here too. You can do what kind of boards, what kind of teams, what kind of filters, what kind of hierarchy you want to look at. So there's things you can modify here. More tailored version of that the regular roadmap. It's called advanced roadmaps. And so you can see here there's some team versions. So we can group up teams. So you could say, hey, if maybe there's team members on, maybe there's people on multiple teams. How do you plan out their work if you're managing a team that have people spread out? Well, you can take a look at those views as well. This will give you those views. So capacity planning for road mapping. You can see here, this is that view for it. You can see the different teams here. You can see the capacity for each one. So you can making sure that over adding capacity to those team members. Dependencies is very similar to, you can see here there's a dependency report. So there's some extra views that road mapping discussed. So there's also some best case and worst case, so there's some scenario analysis. So you can actually have different views and analysis. So you can showcase to leadership or the team to get perspectives on it. Maybe a best case, a worst case. So those are some other features as well. And there's different types of views. You can see here, like we discussed, some basic views, some top level dependency, and also some sprint capacity management. So this is good, and you can also export this information. That's what it's saying here. And again, this is some release versions similar to what the regular roadmaps is, but you can see here, this is kind of aggregated view of all those releases between those different teams. So you can see it all in one spot. Again, a little more features, a little more expensive though. So I would take a look into it, and if you have access, I would actually play around with it. If you're looking for a video on this and more information, please let me know in the comments below. Please message me and I can create a special video for this one. For now, I'm just going to discuss high level as another option for road mapping. The last one is Jira Align. This is the most expensive option. I think it has the most functionality though. So this is more aligned with the Safe Agile framework. So the Scaled Agile framework, this is aligned to that. And I would say that you get more visibility, more dashboards, aggregating all the team's information into one view. And you can see here, time left, objectives accepted through all the teams, maybe 7-10 teams. So here's another view of it. The goal is to align people on the strategy, align everybody on the plan and what we're doing and what the value we're delivering. So I would take a look into this and see if the value you get from this, again, here's another visualization of like a big planning board, but maybe incrementally. So you might be able to do big room planning with this tool as well. But you can see some high-level versions of the pieces of work and the teams that are doing it and when they're doing it. And then some aggregated views. So if you're leading multiple teams, right, there's some views here that could probably help you as well to take a look at, making sure you're identifying dependencies, you're burning down the progress. And again, there's some other frameworks saying there's flexible for these frameworks. So there's some options here. I would say this is probably the most feature enhanced version here as far as for road mapping, but I would say it's definitely the most expensive. So just like the last portion with advanced roadmaps, I'm not going to really discuss it that much, but I'm going to give you as another option. I don't want to leave it off the table. So if that value you're getting out of that is worth the cost, which is the most expensive out of these options, then of course use it for your team. So I'd like to hear what all of you use for your team's road mapping. These are some tools that I use that are in Jira already, in-house functionality. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you use for road mapping as a Scrum Master, as a leader, as a tech lead, whoever is playing that role within your team that works well for you. Please like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.